I'm so sick of this weekend. I don't even want to hear.
Alrighty, welcome back to another episode of This Takes the Cake. I am Faith, and here with me I have the lovely Sarah. So
Thank you
Sarah,
so
for
much.
yes, thank you for being here today. We really appreciate it. We're excited to learn all about you, your business, SEO, and all great things.
Awesome. Well, I am thrilled to be here and thrilled to get to meet you. I was so excited for
Yes.
the opportunity and, you all were like, let's talk SEO. And I was like, are you sure you want to bore your audience with SEO? But you all have some great questions. So I think this is going to be an awesome episode.
I agree 100%. So Sarah, for anybody who has not met you yet, can you tell us about what you do and how you became the SEO expert for all wedding pros?
Well, I would love to. SEO is my jam. And I will just say off the top, before I keep using the phrase SEO, we are talking about search engine optimization. So getting found through searches online as a wedding business. And this was not something that I dreamed of as I was a child. I'm going to grow up and help people get found on Google. That was not it. I long ago, so it was about 15 years ago, I started making websites for friends just as a hobby. And one friend told another who told a real business owner, and that business owner was like, can you do a website for my business? And I was like, sure. And it just grew into an actual business for me, making websites for clients. And eventually, of course, when you're making websites for a business, someone's going to go, well, is this website going to help me get found on Google? And
Mm.
so I got that question as a baby web designer, and I stupidly was like, of course it will. Yes, this website will help you get found on Google. And then I had to go figure out how that worked. But
Yes.
I'm glad that I was just like, yes, and let me figure it out later because I love it. I discovered that I really love search engine optimization, just figuring out the game. What does it take to actually get a website to the top of Google? And everything changed for me when I had my very first wedding industry client. I was like, this
Nice.
is so much fun. I previously mostly worked with stuffy traditional businesses like attorneys and insurance agents and electricians, and they were wonderful clients, but I really had a lot of fun working with my first wedding planner client. And I basically said, this is all I want to do anymore. How can I get
Awesome.
more wedding industry clients so that I can work with amazing, mostly women-owned small businesses that are doing something creative? And how can I do more of this? So that was in about 2017. I did my first project. By 2019, I was like, I'm not doing anything else. And I've been fully focused on wedding SEO for about 7 years now.
Wow, that is absolutely fantastic. And I love the attitude. You can tell everything by a person's demeanor and determination. So, girl, props to you. Props to you.
I bet a lot of
So,
people listening to this have had that
yes.
situation where someone's like, you're doing this, right? And you're just like, yes, it like just falls
Mhm.
out of your mouth. And sometimes we regret that, but sometimes it works out okay. So that's one of those
Absolutely.
stories.
I absolutely love it. So what made you realize that wedding pros needed SEO help in a way that was simple and approachable?
Yeah, it was really that first project that I did
Yeah.
where I realized that I got into that first project because I had met a wedding planner who had invested a lot of money with a different agency in a
Mhm.
website redesign.
Wow.
And previously, with her old website, she had ranked at the top of Google for her city and then the wedding planner phrase. So, Chicago wedding planner. She was on page one of Google for literally years. And that's
Oh,
how most of her high end clients found her business. Then she was like, okay, I need to update my look. I want to rebrand. I want to take this to the next level. She made a big investment in a new brand and website, but the designer didn't know anything about SEO. So the new website launched and that her rankings just like hit the floor. It
wow.
fell off Google like you would not believe. So page one. And by the
Wow.
time we met, she was on page 9 of Google and she was like beside
Wow.
herself. I just spent all this money on a website redesign and no one's coming to my site. and I don't know what to do. And it really made me realize this is a small creative industry. A lot of decisions are made on a design perspective in the business.
Yes.
You want to look fresh, you want to look up to date, but that doesn't always come with like the technical background that it should. So I was like, you know what? I think a lot of wedding pros are avoiding SEO because they want to just be in the creative and the pretty, and they feel like the only SEO people they know are like the neighbor's tech bro cousin who's like, yeah, I can get that to rank on Google. And so they're just like not doing it at all. And I'm like, I want to come in, figure this out, and make it as simple as possible instead of as complicated as possible. And I want to make that my job. So that's where I really realized there was a disconnect, and maybe there wasn't the right guide in this very technical and scary topic. And I really wanted to make it more approachable.
No, I absolutely love that, because I feel like a lot of the things with business owners, especially small business owners, is that there's so much that entails going into a business. Not only what you actually are crafting, that service that you're providing, but it's how you market it, it's how you approach it, it's how you get that attention from your clients. So I absolutely love that. And that's a great example. So wow, that's insane.
Well,
That's
there is so
fantastic.
much that goes into a business too. And I also
Yes,
know that when I'm talking about SEO, I'm teaching it to someone who doesn't want to do SEO full time. Like, and I
correct.
think that that's the problem with the approach. A lot of times when you're learning SEO, that person teaching you thinks that you want to learn everything there is to learn. And you're like, no, I have clients to serve. I
Yep.
gotta also like post on social media. I got an event this weekend. I have 10,000 things to do on this timeline. I don't
Yes.
have time to do SEO full time. So like, what are the few things I can do quickly that actually make a difference? And how do I do
Yes.
them as easy and low tech as possible? So I love that approach and think it's
Absolutely.
totally fine.
Absolutely. No, I definitely love that. So, to kind of get into a little bit of the SEO basics for our wedding pros and our listeners. So a lot of wedding pros, they hear, you mentioned it earlier. You said, I know I'm going to talk a lot about SEO and I want everybody to know what it stands for. Everybody immediately panics when they hear SEO. So, how do you explain it apart from search engine optimization? And I know you've given a few examples of how you've helped your clients, but how do you explain SEO to the wedding pros in simple terms?
Okay, so SEO, I really like to look at it as an opportunity. So,
Mm,
search engine optimization, this is our opportunity to get free exposure with people who are searching for exactly what you have to offer. So, our job in SEO is we get to imagine your ideal client and we get to go, okay, when they go to a search engine, what are they typing in? What are they looking for? And how do we make sure that your business is known as relevant for that search? So, a lot of times that search is really simple. So, people
yes.
might type in something like Nashville wedding planner into a Google search, or who are the best Nashville wedding planners? They might type into ChatGPT, and they're looking for recommendations, they're looking for options. So, as a business owner, this is an opportunity to get right in front of someone who wants exactly what you have to offer. And that's what I love about SEO. It's like if we can figure it out, if we can help the robot understand that you're relevant for that search, then all those recommendations and all those clicks that you get are actually free. So
Mm,
we're not talking about paying Google for advertising. We're not
right.
talking about paying ChatGPT for advertising. We're talking about actually having influence, convincing the robots that your business is the most relevant for a certain search. And it's my job as a full-time SEO specialist to study like what are the businesses that keep showing up at the top or getting recommended? What are they doing? What are the patterns? And then how can we follow those same patterns to convince the robots that we are also great businesses to follow? So I just want to kind of, as much as we have to think about the systems and the robots in this
Yeah.
process, it all starts with the real human, that real person who has a need and they're looking for something. And so I really like to take that human first approach and think about, okay, what are they looking for? How do we
Right.
convince them that we're relevant and the best option? And that's really the simplest way to think about SEO.
I love that. Honestly, like the way that you're explaining it, it's the long-term investment that you're putting into your business. So I love that opportunity piece because it is. I mean, at the end of the day, this business is part of opportunity. It's the opportunity to come across that client to meet with them and how your business is impacted by that. So absolutely love it.
Yeah.
So why should vendors care about SEO when so much of their focus is on social media?
I get it. I get it. It's like one more thing that a
All
wedding pro
right.
has to do,
All
right? And I
right.
want to say up front, like, I don't think everyone has to do SEO. You're going to know people that have been very successful in their business and they have terrible SEO. So
Mhm.
I'm not saying you have to do SEO to be successful, but here are a
Right.
few reasons that a lot of wedding pros have chosen to pursue SEO. SEO is something that you actually build around your own business, reputation, and website. You actually control a lot of the information that you're putting out there and how it gets seen. So maybe you might be putting a blog post on your website. That's something you own. That's a resource you can continue to point people back to. Maybe you're working on getting more reviews on Google. That's something that really benefits your business beyond just SEO. So it's something that you're building that you actually own. The other thing about SEO is that it actually can build on itself and be a long-term way to market your business. When we get a business to page 1 of Google, a lot of times those results are sustained for a long time, or we get a blog post to rank really well because it's a great piece of content. We have blog posts for clients that we wrote 5 years ago that
Wow.
still bring in traffic to their website on a regular basis for really relevant searches. So we did an investment in, yes, creating a great piece of content that's super helpful, but we did that 5 years ago and it's still working. And you just don't get that kind of longevity with social media. If that thing
That's
doesn't
true.
pop off and go viral, like it's dead in a few hours. We do sometimes see posts that last a lot longer, but this SEO work is an actual long-term strategy that you can continue to build over time that can actually sustain and bring you new opportunities every single season. So you don't have to do SEO, but it's such a great thing to bring into your marketing mix if you want to have both short-term strategies and something that's a little bit more long-term.
I love that. No, absolutely. Because I mean, social media is a great tool, but definitely something that will continuously improve your business. I think that's totally worth it. So as a wedding pro.
Yeah.
So
And the
awesome.
social media grind is constant, right?
Yes,
It's
it
like,
is. It
okay,
is.
I gotta come up with a new creative idea
Yep,
today and I have to
that's
follow
the
the new
truth.
trend and like, how do I put my spin on it? Some people love that. And I think that's great. Some people are like, this is exhausting and I'm out of ideas. And I'm like, okay, then come over to the dark side and let's
Right.
blog once a month and get you some more strategic traffic without having to curl your
Yes.
hair.
Yeah. Absolutely. Oh man. So if someone listening has never touched their SEO, because I know you mentioned you don't have to do SEO, some people don't do it, but if they've never touched their SEO, what is the first thing that you would think or that you would recommend they do?
Ooh, I love this question. So, the first thing that we do with SEO is that I want you to optimize the homepage of your website. So, if I can break that down, basically what you need to do is think about what is that one phrase that is most relevant to your business. It's usually your location plus your service. So, it might be Nashville wedding planner, it might be Michigan wedding photographer. Most wedding pros have that keyword in mind, that kind of phrase. It's like, okay, this describes my business.
Right.
So you think about that phrase, and then I want you to actually use it clearly in the text of the homepage of your website. I love to see that keyword used near the top of the page in a way that maybe works with your page design. I'd love to see that phrase worked into a sentence on the page. So maybe you say, I'm Sarah, I'm a Nashville wedding planner, and I've planned over 200 weddings. How do you weave that into a sentence? That's going to help a robot that's just reading the text of your website to actually understand what your business is and where you're located. And Faith, you'd be really surprised the number of people that come to me and they have that keyword in mind. They're like, Sarah, I'm so frustrated. I really want to rank for Boston wedding photographer. and I look at the homepage of their website and they haven't used the phrase Boston wedding photographer anywhere. It's like, I
Wow.
capture your meaningful moments serving New England and beyond. And I'm like, you have to be a little more literal with the robots,
Yes.
because if other people are saying, I'm a Boston wedding photographer, and you're capturing beautiful celebrations, their site just looks so much more relevant to that keyword when the search engine's trying to decide who wins. So you got to use that phrase clearly within the text of the homepage of your website. If you want to get a little technical, I also love to see it in the SEO title and SEO description of the homepage. But even just using it visually within the text will give you your first initial boost.
I love that. Absolutely. It's all about the keywords for everything.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because
All
that's
right.
the part where you're thinking about what real people are actually searching
Exactly.
for. So that's where we
Exactly.
have to start.
I mean, I know when I get hungry, I'm looking at location and what type of food do I want to eat. So
That's
you got to
right.
think about it. And
Yes. When I'm on
fantastic.
a road trip, it's coffee shop near me. Like,
Correct. Correct.
please find it for me. Yes.
No, I love that. So we've spoken a little bit about the SEO basics for the wedding pros. Now I want to know a little bit more about, the biggest mistakes that the vendors make. We're going to go a little bit into that realm. So, what is the most common SEO mistake that you see wedding pros making, maybe aside from the keyword?
I would say so. The most common mistake is not using your keyword. And then on the
Mm.
opposite end of the spectrum, the most common mistake when people are trying to do SEO is they use their keyword way too much. So you're like, okay,
Okay.
Sarah told me I need to use my keyword. I am putting it everywhere on this website. You're going to put, you're putting Nashville wedding planner on the about page, the services page, every single blog post. You're like, if I just say this phrase more, then Google
Mm.
will think my site is more relevant. Here's the problem. Here's what happens. When we don't make it clear for Google which page is actually optimized for that term, you can actually start competing with yourself. So Google goes, well,
Mm.
should I show the homepage or should I show the about page? Because they're using Nashville Wedding Planner on both of these pages. I don't know which one is better. And then you can actually end up ranking lower overall. So
Wow.
when I teach my SEO framework, we actually talk about the concept of choosing a unique keyword for each page so that we're not competing with ourselves. So maybe the homepage is Nashville Wedding Planner. Maybe on the about page, we write Tennessee Wedding Planner. So they're related, but they're actually different areas, different keywords. And then it's very clear to the search engines, hey, if someone's searching Nashville Wedding Planner, that homepage is the page to send them to. That phrase is on there. The copy makes sense for that. We're going to do that. If someone's searching Tennessee Wedding Planner, hey, the about page says that. The copy is around Tennessee, talks about what areas they serve. That's perfect. So we want clarity. We don't want to just keep repeating the same keyword throughout the entire website and creating confusion.
I love that. Would have never thought about that. So
I know
definitely,
most people
I
don't.
love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a great one.
Thank you.
So are there outdated SEO strategies that vendors are still wasting time on? I know we spoke about the mistakes, so staying
Yeah.
relevant.
So with wasting time, and
Uh-huh.
and this is controversial. I still think that there are some benefits to this, but one thing that I see people waste a lot of time on is writing a lot of real wedding blog posts, like these kind of blog posts that are a recap of one event, or photographers feeling like they need to blog every session that they photograph. So this was a really popular strategy, 10 years or so ago, where a lot of people were like, I'm going to blog every session, or I'm going to blog every wedding. And the thing is, today, real wedding recaps do not perform as well on search as they used to. And the reason is these used to do pretty well when people were searching for a venue name. So maybe they are searching for a Greencrest Manor wedding because they want to see examples of weddings at that place, or they want to get more information about the venue. Real weddings used to show up really well. And then Google started watching searcher behavior and watching what content was actually most engaging if someone searched for Greencrest Manor wedding. And Google found that the searcher is actually looking for more venue information. They don't want to read about Taylor and Kyle's wedding. They want to read about the venue. That's what they're interested in. So I don't mind real weddings. I think it's a nice way to show off your work, but they don't rank as well on Google as they used to. And so we've really even shifted our strategy. I used to write way more real weddings than I do now. We've shifted our strategy to actually doing more venue spotlights. So Greencrest Manor Wedding, we actually write a deep dive on Greencrest Manor. We talk about the venue, where it's located, why we love it as a wedding professional. Maybe we give some insider tips that you can't find anywhere else on the internet. Oh, there is a beautiful location for the first look out in the Rose Garden. We love when our couples do one there. Or they allow you to tent the side yard if you don't want to do the traditional reception space. So it's actually a lot better for search, and it's better for selling your services because you're really weaving in your unique perspective and your expertise, and you're showing people, hey, I've actually worked here. I'm actually an expert in this place. And then it's a really natural call to action to say, if you're considering a wedding at Greencrest Manor, reach out to us first. Reach out to us as the planners, or reach out to us as the photographers, and we'll show you more examples of our photography here. So you can really make more of a connection than just, spending 1,000 words being like, Kyle and Taylor were engaged at a football game because they love football and they're so cute and they had a really emotional first look. It's kind of like, is that what the searcher really wants? We found it really isn't. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And honestly, I feel like that is a super new way of thinking too. So I feel like I love that because couples really now are looking for, how do they see themselves? How do I see myself there, getting married there? And so it is definitely a great tip, great strategy point. Love it.
Yeah. So wasting
Fantastic.
time. I mean, people are always so anti-blogging because they think if they have a blog, they have to blog every week or they have to blog every wedding. I'm like, no, like do one really strategic piece once a month or every other month. And that can really reach far for you. That can rank for that venue name for years from now. And you can keep updating it with your latest work, your favorite tips. So I'm like,
love it.
It doesn't have to be your full-time job, but be a little more strategic with the topics you choose.
Yeah, and intentional. I feel like it's also setting that intention of giving the couple ideas of things that you would do as well as a planner, as a photographer, or as a florist. So definitely love it.
Yeah.
Awesome. So what is one SEO myth that you wish wedding pros would stop believing?
SEO myth. I think we've kind of talked about my least favorite myth.
The keyword. I feel like you're
putting the keyword
one
everywhere.
Is,
Yes. The keyword everywhere myth. The myth, if I use the keyword more, that's how I win.
That one got me for sure.
Right? Like sometimes I see so many wedding pros when they're like, okay, I've really been working on this. Like I've been working on my SEO, and they're like, I'm still not on page 1. They're like, I'm going to go to my homepage and I'm going to use the keyword even more. And where else can I put it? And can I hide it on the page and put it behind an image or in white text on a white background? Like I got to use the keyword more. And that's really not it. There is a level where you have properly optimized the page that you're working on. And if you're not seeing the results you want, it's time to move on and start working on content that supports that keyword. So show that you have other content around that area and links and authority. So showing Google that you're one of the best known professionals in your area. You don't have to keep touching and playing with the homepage. So maybe that's a secondary myth. Like if you're not ranking as well as you want, you need to keep working on your website. That's not necessarily true. You might need to go work on other things.
I love that. That's a great one. So I know we touched a bit on the blogging, and I have a few questions here, but definitely I know we've mentioned on the vendor blogs and things like that, but what should vendors stop doing when it comes to blogging?
Yes. So one thing that people really struggle with in the wedding industry is the idea of blogging information that is actually going to reach couples who will actually book you. So I want to explain this because this is a really rare thing about the wedding industry. The fact that you really have to get the timing right of when someone finds you. So a lot of people they're like, okay, I have so much information that I want to teach couples. I want to educate them. And so they go to their blog and they write really generic blog posts like, what are 3 ideas for your wedding catering? Or, what is something I should put in my wedding day emergency kit? And they just write these really generic articles. The problem is, number one, even if this ranks on Google, it's going to bring in couples from all over the world that are just looking for information. They aren't necessarily near you in your target market. And so you're kind of have a really broad reach. The other issue, if it's just educational, is a lot of times you actually end up getting found by people that are too far into their planning process. So, for example, if you're a venue giving ideas for types of catering, most people don't worry about their catering till they already have their venue booked. So you're meeting them, you're getting found, but it's too late. They've already booked someone else and you're just giving them some great information, which, I mean, great for the world, great for education. Maybe you're doing a community service, but you're not doing strategic content creation that actually helps you get found by new clients. So what I want every wedding pro to do before they sit down and write a blog post is to not think about what do I want to say? What do I want people to know? I want you to think about what decisions are couples making before they make the decision to hire for your category. And that's going to vary based on what you do. So if you're a venue, you only have a few decisions that get made before someone chooses their venue. But maybe it's, should I do a destination wedding in North Carolina? Like they're doing this very broad, like I need to make a decision about where I'm getting married or maybe what season, How about writing a guide to fall weddings in North Carolina? That is something that could actually help people as they start. They're trying to figure out their date, their season before they choose their venue. Though that might be one of the decisions that they make in that process. So venues have the least a number of topics they can really use to get in front of local, newly engaged couples. But if you're something like hair and makeup or a wedding coordinator who can come in at the very end of the process, you have a year's worth of decisions that you can help couples make and then introduce yourself as the expert who can help. So I want every wedding pro to start the process with what decisions does my ideal client make before they choose to hire me? Those are the best educational topics, not things that you just wish your clients knew, unless you're going to write that as a resource to send to couples who've already booked you. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I think the intentional strategizing is key here. That's exactly what I'm hearing. So I actually love that. That's a great one. So we're going to move a little bit away from the blogs and I want to go back into Google Business and the local SEO for our listeners and our wedding pros. So when couples search for a wedding planner near me, how do vendors show up there? So we're talking about wedding planners specifically, but I mean, I would love for it to go a little bit deeper into the different categories as well.
Yeah. So I think a lot of wedding pros are surprised that this kind of search is done, literally just typing in the category and then near me. They're like, I don't know, just like give me my options. Wedding planner near me, outdoor wedding venues near me, wedding photographer near me, editorial wedding photographer near me, like that. People are doing that kind of search. They're also doing searches where they don't even say a location or near me, but Google knows that their intent is to find a local service provider. So standing here in my office in Southwest Michigan, if I type in wedding planner, Google's not going to give me advice articles like what is a wedding planner. Google knows that I'm making a local search and it's going to show me businesses near me that are wedding planners. So the number one thing, if you want to show up for that kind of local search, is you have to have a Google business profile set up. This is a free listing from Google. It is one of our only ways that we can communicate directly with Google and tell them about our business. You get to fill out a form that says, what's your business name? What's the primary category of what you do? What's your phone number? What's your website? Describe your business in the description section. So I really recommend that every wedding professional set up Google Business Profile because that's how your business ends up in the map results that show up at the top of that kind of search. So that's step number one. Set up that Google business listing, fill it in as best as you can, and work to get at least 10 Google reviews. You're going to see increased visibility and trust with Google when you get to 10 Google reviews. So that is your first benchmark if you've never had that set up before.
Absolutely. And a few other things that I wanted to ask you in terms of Google business. So definitely, I believe the reviews are a huge part of it. I'm curious to know, and this one's not scripted, this one's straight off the head. So, with the keywords that we spoke about and your Google reviews, what is the importance or the link between having a review state that you are a local Nashville wedding planner or anything like that? How does that play into the SEO?
Yeah, a lot of times we will actually see Google pull a little snippet of a review that's relevant if you are included in that map result. We call that a justification.
Awesome.
Basically, Google is like justifying why this business is someone who's relevant. So yes, if someone says Faith is the best Orlando wedding planner I've ever met, that would be something that would be incredibly helpful potentially to your visibility or just getting the click because it connects what the searcher was looking for and what someone said about you. Now, all this to say, it's kind of awkward as a business owner to ask your clients to use certain phrases.
Correct.
So I don't necessarily recommend being like, can you please use this keyword in your review? Because it's already so hard to get people to leave a review, right? And then you don't want to give them 100 rules about what they got to do.
Correct.
There are some theories that if you kind of seed the keyword in your question, like, hey, we really appreciate reviews of our wedding planning services. If you'd like to share why you chose us as your wedding planner, that is really helpful for future couples. So like you're using the phrase wedding planner, hopefully they will also write that in the review. But if not, that review is still really helpful to you, even if they don't mention what you do or where you're located. So, maybe it's a little boost, but you're not going to necessarily end up as the first business on the list just because a lot of your reviews say a keyword in them. And in fact, you don't want it to look unnatural either. So you don't want to look like you are incentivizing people to use a certain keyword. So I would just say keep it natural. But it is really helpful if someone can say, wedding planner, or I hired her for my elopement, or I chose an elopement package with this company. If there's certain things that you're trying to market, it can be helpful if people do mention that in their review.
I love that. Awesome. Perfect. So I wanted to hop out of Google Business and into SEO in 2026 with our AI searching and chat GPTing and all the things. I know chat GPT's got a lot of nicknames for everybody, but with AI changing and Google Gemini, all the things, it's changing the search so much right now. What should wedding pros know about that?
Yeah. So search through AI tools is really something that we're watching really closely. So there's a lot of ways to use AI. So let me explain. Basically, what we want to do as SEO practitioners is if your ideal client pulls up their AI tool of choice, ChatGPT, Claude, or Gemini, and goes, I'm looking for a wedding planner for a private home wedding with a tent in my parents' backyard, and I'm really overwhelmed. Like, who's an expert in this and who should I hire? If your business is a great fit for that person, we want ChatGPT to come back and say, here are your options and here's why. Now, the tricky thing as business owners is we have no data on what people are actually typing in to their AI tools. And that's what's kind of frustrating for me as an SEO professional, because I actually have tools that will tell me what keywords people type into Google, but there is nothing out there that'll tell you what people are actually typing into AI tools. And yes, you can ask ChatGPT and it will make up an answer, but please don't trust it. It's just making it up. It is not actually giving you intel into what people are asking it. So that's what's tricky. And so what I'm telling wedding pros right now is to more than ever really pay attention to those phrases that couples are using on consult calls. What were they looking for? What connected them to you? What specifically might they have asked for? And one thing that I think is really cool, if you can make it conversational, if someone says they found you in a search, actually asking them what they were searching for
That's
so
a
that
good
you
one.
learn a little bit from it. I actually have one photographer client, it's on her inquiry form. I don't know if this works for everyone, but she gets the best answers. So she has a field that says, how did you find me or hear about me? And then she has a field that says, if someone referred you, please let me know. Or if you use search, please tell me what you searched for. And it's
Oh,
so
wow.
interesting. So
That's good.
interesting. Yeah.
That's
And
really good.
yeah, I mean, people are self-reporting their own search behavior.
Right.
So if you do that, I'd make it optional so that you're not
Yeah.
creating a bunch of friction with people that think you're asking them their private thoughts. But it's really interesting data to really hear from people. What are they searching for? What are they looking for? And I
Yeah.
always recommend, if you do see something come in through search, that you ask that question in a way that, feels normal. So,
Yeah.
um, AI search is definitely something that we're seeing more of. I'm seeing more in my clients' reporting, more clicks that are coming in from ChatGPT as the source. But what's interesting, everyone's so excited about it and there's so much attention, but it's still such a tiny portion of website traffic. So when I look at Google Analytics for our clients, we're still seeing 70 to 80% of website traffic comes from Google or organic search. And only 3 to 7% at the very most is coming from an AI search. So it's really, really small. And if anyone tries to tell you in the wedding industry that all search behavior has shifted to AI, it's just not true. We can see it in the actual source data for your website that a lot of people are still coming in through a Google traditional search. So don't throw out traditional SEO. Definitely, we want to think about what people are typing into their AI tools, but we can't just throw out keywords and SEO setup. That stuff is still really
Absolutely.
important.
Absolutely. So with that, I kind of want to piggyback on it and ask you, how is SEO changing in 2026?
Yeah, a couple of things that are new that we are experimenting with to try to get found in these more specific searches on AI is we're actually creating some more like very specific service pages, especially for venues and planners. So,
Mm,
for example, for venues, we want to make sure that search tools know about their unique offerings. So previously, a venue would just mention maybe if they had an outdoor ceremony location. Now I'm like, we need an in-depth page on your outdoor ceremony location. We need to mention the vibe in case someone is searching for a forest ceremony site or a whimsical ceremony site. We need to mention that there's a pond right behind it in case someone is looking for like a waterfront ceremony site. We need to mention that it's handicap accessible in case they're typing in, hey, like I want a waterfront ceremony site, but grandma needs to come. And so it can't be a long walk. Like we are giving AI tools, we are giving our websites more information than ever to make sure that AI really clearly understands exactly what you have to offer. And we're mostly experimenting with this as additional pages that we're not, putting 3,000 words on your homepage that explains really dry things about what you offer. We're creating really specific content to add to the
right.
website that outlines those special things. On the planner example, maybe you do specialize in private home or private residence tented weddings. We did this for one of our clients, optimized a page on their site for backyard wedding planner and talked about how much experience they have on planning weddings that don't have a traditional venue. And they actually got an inquiry from ChatGPT. This bride said, found you on ChatGPT. I am looking for I want to have my wedding in my parents' yard, and ChatGPT said you specialize in this. So, like, how can you help me? And I was like,
Wow.
this is awesome. This is so
Fantastic.
cool. So it's so much less now about like just a little bit of a mention on the service page that you do something. Like we've got to go more in depth and actually have a page or a blog post that explains that special thing that you have that you offer.
Awesome. I love that. And also going a little bit more in depth will allow them to feel more comfortable with your services and understanding that hey, they're going to care about, XYZ. So fantastic.
Yes. Yeah.
So with the age of AI, do you think blogs are still worth it?
Absolutely. More than ever.
Yes.
More than ever. Truly. And to do it in a strategic way that is around what people are actually searching for. So, again, I have theories. I don't know what people are searching for, but I know what couples ask for. And one of
Right.
the examples is, people want a photographer or planner who's worked at their venue before. So
Mhm.
when you have one of these venue spotlights that we talked about, an AI tool is able to say, not only have they worked at this venue before, they have a whole deep dive on it. You can read all of their insider tips about this venue and see 3 different weddings that they planned at this place. So
Love it.
blogs are more important than ever, but doing them more strategically in an informational way around what couples are searching for.
Fantastic. So for someone listening who wants to dive deeper, because you've given such great resources and tips, so what resources do you offer?
Yeah. So if anyone's listening is brand new and kind of like walked through that, oh, I never have used a keyword on my homepage before, I would point you toward my 1 hour SEO. It is a really quick training that teaches you how to research a keyword and then exactly where to put it on the homepage of your website. That is a super easy training, super affordable. It's like the dip your toe into SEO starting point. For anyone who wants kind of like the full step by step, this is how you optimize your homepage, your services page, and all the blog strategies. I would definitely point you toward Wedding SEO Bootcamp. This is my signature program. This is where I teach exactly what you need to do to get found on search tools in a way that is fast, quick, hopefully not overwhelming, not like the master's level course on SEO, but the wedding specific, how do I get this set up and move on with my life kind of program.
No, I absolutely love that. So what makes your approach different from all the generic SEO advice that is out there?
Yeah. So when you go through the Wedding SEO Bootcamp program, it is made for getting found by engaged couples. So all these things that we have learned through the years, like, hey, don't write generic blog posts that are about decisions people make the day before their wedding. That's not going to get you bookings. All of that knowledge is baked in. And most SEO approach is about let's just get you as much traffic to your website as possible. And if you were a food blogger or, had a style website or something, then great. You do just want as much traffic as possible. But as a wedding professional, you don't need millions of visits a year. You need some really specific people to come to your website at the right time when they might actually hire your business. And so that's a very different approach, what we need to do, what you need to focus on, than if you're just trying to drive all the clicks in the world.
Absolutely. I've really appreciated all of your time and your tips, your tricks, the learning the basics, but also learning how to be intentional and strategic. So I really appreciate it. Um, I have a few more questions for you left. So what is the biggest SEO game changer for wedding pros right now? The one thing that would really take the cake.
Yes. This is, I would say the biggest game changer is stepping back from the technical side and actually thinking about your ideal client and taking like 10 minutes to be like, my ideal client, who are they and what are those decisions they make before the decision to hire me? And if you take that time and really think that through, that can actually inform your whole approach to content marketing, whether it's your blog posts or maybe strategic things that you put on Instagram and TikTok. But make sure that you're getting found before your ideal client has already hired someone else for your service. So the thing that's a game changer is thinking about the start of their planning process and how you can help.
I love that. That was a great note to end on. I really appreciate
Of course.
it. So, for our listeners who want to connect with you and learn more, I know you spoke about your SEO bootcamp, dipping their toe in SEO. How else can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, so I am Sara Does SEO on every single platform. So I would love if anyone listening would send me a DM, be like, I just heard you on This Takes the Cake, and I would love to learn more, and I'll help you figure out what direction you need to go in. So you are not alone. Send me a DM at Sara Does SEO, and I can help point you to your next best step.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for your time, the opportunity to talk with you, and we really appreciate you being on the pod.
Of course. Well, thank you for the invitation, Faith, for you and the whole team. I really appreciate you thinking
Yes,
of me and inviting me to join you.
absolutely. I think this takes the cake for the day, and we really appreciate it. Learn all about SEO, and we'll see you next time.